Since Easter Monday, there has been much speculation about whether the State Pollution Control Commission would take legal action against BHP for the coke oven gas leak. On last night's NBN News, however, Environment Minister Tim Moore let the cat out of the bag.
I've been advised by the Acting Director of the SPCC that BHP is to be prosecuted over the Easter Monday discharge to air.
Acting Director of the SPCC, Dr Warwick Forrest, today confirmed that a Commission report on the incident has recommended legal action be taken. BHP will be prosecuted under the Clean Air Act with an offence relating to the maintenance of control equipment. The exact details of that are yet to be released. Under the Act, BHP faces a maximum fine of $150,000. The company has not received official word of the impending prosecution. When we contacted BHP today, a spokesperson said it was interesting to learn of the potential prosecution on last night's NBN News. We await official confirmation from the SPCC. The State Pollution Control Commission says it could be 3 days before the recommendation is processed and BHP notified. Jodie McKay, NBN News. Newcastle Council voted 2 weeks ago to proceed with demolition of this block of buildings bounded by Burwood Street and Wheeler Place. However, the day after, they were forced to place a 2-week moratorium on demolition after concern was raised by the building trades group over the increasing number of vacant blocks in the city. At a public meeting last night, that concern was reiterated by Brian Souters of the National Trust.
We're left with a city which is a series of holes, and we don't want that. I think the more we demolish, the harder it is for us to get the city off its knees and back into a viable state.
It appears Council will have a hard time persisting with demolition of the Clarendon while there are no plans for a new development on the site.
That's the reason we're here tonight, is to discuss whether we should knock the Clarendon down. And I'm telling you, and Brian's here from the council, I'm telling you, Brian, it's not going to go down.
For the licensee, Vi Lane, the last few weeks have been unsettling, knowing her business could be bulldozed at any time.
I was told last Monday, the 29th of April, to vacate the premises as they were putting a bulldozer through. Here it is, the 6th of May, I'm still there. And I remain to stay with the ship until such times as I get a definite answer to my legal advisor and to all my patrons and my staff.
The Building Trades Group will meet with Town Clerk Barry Lewis within the next week or so to discuss the issue. But as far as the unions are concerned, the Clarendon stays unless an acceptable development application for the site is lodged. Jodie McKay, NBN News. Over the last 5 years, this strip of the Pacific Highway at Charlestown has been the scene of 31 car accidents caused by pedestrians not crossing at the traffic lights. The Roads and Traffic Authority considers it one of the most dangerous areas for pedestrians in the Hunter. The question is whether to fence or not to fence, and the answer could divide the whole community of Charlestown. Work will begin almost immediately, extending the existing steel fence by about half a kilometre through Charlestown.
Something has got to be done with the road in the way that it is. You can't regulate and you can't legislate against what I could say is only stupidity, people playing chicken with fast-moving traffic every day of the week.
Although the fence will act as a safety barrier, there are fears it will also be a barrier to local commerce. Independent candidate Steve Owens is concerned shoppers will go elsewhere.
Now, if you have the fence down the centre, they'll do one side and then maybe they'll say, oh, well, to hell with it, we'll do the other thing later, and they get to forget, no, we'll do it elsewhere. And it'll take people out of the town.
Today, Liberal candidate Judith Lloyd found herself out of step with her minister Wal Murray.
I don't think we need a fence up the middle of the highway here. I think it's a waste of public resources to block off and isolate one side of the highway to the other.
A spokesperson for the Roads and Traffic Authority says the fence will cost about $30,000, while the cost to the community of accidents over the last 5 years could run to $1 million. Jane Anderson, NBN News.
The residents of Scone are proud to admit their town runs on a massive charge of horsepower.
We regard ourselves as the horse capital of Australia, and I think today has proved that.
The 12th Scone Horse Week celebrations began with a parade through the streets, presenting a living history of the animal which helped shape rural Australia. Breeding horses in Scone has become a multi-million-dollar industry. It's estimated the area runs 40,000 head, either as thoroughbreds or working horses. This week, those animals will be honoured with displays in camp drafting, calf roping, plus tours of local studs and the Scone Cup on Friday. And at the finish of each day, a toast to the equine industry at where else but the Thoroughbred pub. Peter Ryan, NBN News.
For 10 minutes this morning, the skies over Bullaroo were stained by smoke spewing out of the Pasminco zinc sulphide plant. Dozens of alarmed residents contacted the State Pollution Control Commission. 15-year-old John Powers and 19-year-old Robert Landman recorded the incident on a home video camera.
I was down at the shed and Robert came out of the house and called me up to have a look, and then he just said, get the video camera. So he went and got it, and then we just started filming and could just see a huge black cloud coming out. It looked like a fire was actually down inside the pipe.
The company's environmental officer, Vern Bernhardt, declined to explain what happened, except to say it was a minor incident which occurred during the upgrading of the plant. Later, an officer from the Environmental Control Commission inspected the plant. He said the gas contains sulphur trioxide, which when combined with moisture forms air acid, which burns the eyes and skin. There have been no reports of injuries. Pasminco has closed down the plant. The State Pollution Control Commission is investigating whether the company has breached the Environmental Offences and Penalties Act. Jane Anderson, NBN News.
It's supposed to be a celebration of the humble horse, but it often becomes a real test of human endurance. With thousands of friends and peers looking on, it's no place for the faint-hearted, and it's sometimes a case of taking your lumps and hoping you live to tell the tale. Time may well fly when you're having fun, but this is serious business, and 8 seconds never seemed so long. The evening also gave NBN's Country Report host Peter Ryan an ideal opportunity to prove once and for all he's not just a pretty face, and a sterling display of cutting showed the crowd that Mrs. Ryan's little boy is right at home in the saddle.
Baby Chandelle Joy weighed in at 3.84 kilograms. She was delivered by caesarean section just after midnight. Resting with Mum this morning, she became the centre of attention for family and staff at the John Hunter Hospital. Mother Sandra was extra proud of her little girl.
So I was born on Mother's Day. 37 years ago at Western Suburbs Hospital. That was the first one. It's lovely. It's like history repeating itself.
The men of the family, Father Kevin and Chandel's 3 brothers, have a whole new appreciation of Mother's Day.
If anybody, any male who want to go and see the birth, I guarantee it, they should see it.
Wonderful, happy, fantastic.
Many people took to the outdoors to celebrate Mother's Day, but the police credit union members were out in force at Warners Bay. They'd organised a family fun day with egg and spoon races, tug-of-wars and this one which left the police with egg on their faces. However you look at it, it doesn't pay to be on the wrong end of the long arm of the law. This was the winner. A team of 6 slightly saddle-sore riders wheeled into the city to an enthusiastic welcome by friends and supporters. They've been on the road for a week, visiting towns all over the state that have rallied to the cause. So far, the appeal has gathered $180,000 toward its goal of $250,000. School and charity groups have held bike-a-thons, balls and fundraising events over the past few weeks and handed over the proceeds.
The response in the country has been fantastic. People from Ipswich all the way down through Tamworth, the media, the actual people coming out waving, pipping their horns, giving us donations. It's been fantastic.
Another worthy cause has been given a boost by the fundraising efforts of 2 Newcastle women. The Royal New South Wales Institute for Deaf and Blind Children's new preschool at Belmont is $50,000 better off thanks to Helen McMillan of Wallsend and Diane Stronach of New Lambton. Diane will promote the institute throughout the state and is happy that local people can see where their money is going.
The Tingara Centre actually opens tomorrow for the very first time and the preschool will be operational as of tomorrow, and gradually facilities out there will expand as the needs required.
George Keegan is angry. The object of his ire is an ABC policy which allocates free election broadcasting time to the major political parties, but not independents.
They've overlooked the 7 independents. The 7 independents are all highly successful. Every one of the independents' seats are very seriously sought after by the major political parties, particularly the Labor Party. They seem to have gone out a little bit more heavily on that issue than the coalition.
Do you think the ABC can realistically offer everyone running for Parliament airtime?
They don't have to give the major parties 48 minutes each. They could cut that back to 30 minutes. It can be done, and I think the ABC's got to sit back and think about it, or otherwise cut the whole lot out and stop discriminating against people like myself.
Have you had any reaction to your claim against the ABC?
I expect us to put the cat among the canaries. I've sought legal advice and I intend to take it further. I'm not going to rest till we get some definite indication from the ABC as to what they're going to do for us, if they're going to open it up or close it down.
But today the ABC's Elections Committee Chairman Derek White explained it is not possible to confine broadcasts on radio and TV to areas covered by particular electorates, and he added the ABC has never provided free time to independents at state or federal level. The Anti-Discrimination Board is expected to look into Mr Keegan's claims later this week.
The sacking of the workforce yesterday followed 7 months of negotiations between the owners, CRA and the unions over changing work practices in an effort to increase productivity and international competitiveness. But according to mine management, despite the talks, there has been no measurable improvements. Last year, the mine lost $9.5 million, and the owners say they will not continue to operate the mine at a loss. When 3 workers from the New Dell washery were sacked last Wednesday, the workforce went out in support. Believing the strike was indefinite, CRA yesterday sacked all 330 workers. Speculation that other mines in the Hunter Valley would go out in support proved groundless when the unions today confirmed there would be no escalation of the dispute. Compounding the problem, however, is a bid by CRA to take over Coal and Allied, which owns 5 mines and 3 preparation plants in the area. CRA yesterday raised its price by 65 cents to $8.50 a share in the hope of securing majority holdings. Although Coal and Allied Company Secretary Jim McCrill believes the price is too low to ensure a takeover, if the company's bid is successful, some coal industry sources believe there could be industrial repercussions. So far, restructuring similar to that causing problems at Howick is being implemented without problems at Coal and Allied's operations. But unions are wary of what they describe as the big stick approach.
We acknowledge that industries do need restructuring. Actions such as CRA mainly make it almost impossible for us to convince our members to do so in an orderly fashion. Negotiations have failed, so the company have taken the big stick. And I say once again, it was the company who walked away from the negotiations.
CRA's only comment today was that they plan to run Coal and Allied mines independently of CRA Holdings. Jodie McKay, NBN News.
Fuelled by petrol and oil which had been stored in the building for decades, the blaze quickly became an inferno, forcing firefighters into a rearguard action. An adjoining panel-beating business was saved as quick-thinking firemen and staff moved vehicles to safety. But there was little they could do to reach the dozens of motorcycles, a car and 2 boats in the 80 by 60 metre brick and steel workshop. Brigades were called at about 8:30 p.m, hampered by water supply problems. They were lucky to salvage what they could. This morning, owner of the motorcycle repair business, Malcolm Bailey, was counting his losses. Several vintage bikes escaped the inferno, but inside the collapsed ruin are the priceless collector's pieces, including a Vincent and vintage Ducati.
One of the particular units, there's only one of 80 in the world, and it was built up from virtually an engine. It's only one of 2 in Australia.
Police are almost convinced the fire was the work of arsonists. They're waiting to speak to firefighters at the scene last night to determine who cut the lock on a sliding door adjoining the workshop. It's believed thieves broke in through the door, stealing a relatively cheap Honda 100cc motorbike. Fire investigation officers say it's possible they then set the rest of the building alight to cover their tracks.
Our observations are that there is a trend towards break and enter and then lighting the premises before they leave.
With Liberal candidate for Maitland Peter Blackmore by his side, the Environment Minister gave an undertaking the dam would not go in till at least 2037.
I think we've just given them about a half a century breathing space.
But farmers are less than impressed that Tillagra Dam site northwest of Dungog has been on the drawing board since the 1950s, with potential to put at least 30 properties underwater. Successive governments have put off the big flood. Just last year, the Environment Minister postponed the dam till 2030. Tim Moore's announcement comes just 11 days before the election. Recent boundary changes have moved Dungog into the Maitland electorate, and pundits say Maitland is a seat which could go either way.
I would be stupid if I didn't give good news in this time.
They've just taken advantage that the election's on and the information is going to be released, so it's a good time to release it.
A new proposal suggests a 9-metre wall will be added to Grahamstown Dam, tripling that area's capacity. The Minister is also hoping effluent treatment and desalination technology will evolve, giving the Water Board extra options. Tim Moore says plans to divert water from the Patterson River can be put on hold till 2028. Also on the political hustings, Education Minister Virginia Chadwick. Mrs Chadwick turned the first sod on a $3.8 million project at Thornton Public School. Within a year, the school will have 10 extra classrooms, a new library and administration block. Peter Ryan, NBN News.
It seems the surveying industry has taken a long, hard look at itself and decided it's time for a change. Methods that have remained the same for almost 100 years are finally about to enter the computer age.
We have a land boundary system which is based on 19th century precepts, and what we're trying to do is find ways of utilising new technologies to improve efficiency and therefore ultimately savings to the consumer.
The problem lies in the duplication of services. Every firm and government agency has its own set of laboriously drawn plans. The idea being explored by the government is to eventually resurvey the entire state, then put all the information on computer. Newcastle Lord Mayor John McNaughton, a surveyor himself, believes a fully linked grid of information available to the public and all government departments is long overdue.
The big gain to the public is to have all information on the one system available at the one place, and that is a massive saving.
The work being done at Hamilton is the first step in a process that could take more than 20 years to complete.
We will get the coordinated systems first, and it will take many years really to do the whole of the state, and we'll have ours available first.